Atamaria koutou katoa. I hope you had a good night last night. E te minita, nau mai haramai. Haramai ki tēnei hui. Haramai ki te waipaunamu. Haramai ki te rohe o tākau. Haramai ki te wāhi o wakatipu. It is a great privilege to stand here, Minister, to welcome you, our very special guest, to this conference 2017. Thank you for giving up the time to be here. I know that you've got a very, very busy schedule with the upcoming election. A very exciting election, I'm sure everybody will agree. I'm sure probably the most exciting election in my lifetime anyway, so great to have you here, Minister. Irrespective of the election result on Saturday, I truly wish you all the very, very best. I want to start today, everybody, by looking back. First I look back, and then I thank the people who have helped enable me to stand here today. My dad, John, was born just up the road and bred also on the Linders Pass, where his father, Martin, my grandfather, worked as a rabbiter on the rabbit board. So this area is very much my tūranga waiwai for my Pākehā family. I thank my dad, John, who's no longer with us, for bringing his Scottish values of fairness, hard work and generosity to my own upbringing and helping to shape who I am today. I also acknowledge my tainui, Ngāti Raukawa ki wharepuhunga mother, Tira, who began her nursing career, can you believe it, in 1956 at Dunstan Hospital, a young Māori woman from Tainui who made the great journey south to meet my father. I thank her for passing on her studious attitude, her caring attitude, and he taonga wairua Māori kia hau, for handing on her Māori spirit to me. I also thank my son Arana Whetu, a 23-year-old who's about to journey to Canada to take up a position on a ski field where I'm sure he's going to have lots of fun. And also my daughter Tira, a 21-year-old who's with me in Wellington, for challenging me to be real and to think beyond my own views and beliefs and to embrace them as young people and their thinking. I thank them for teaching me why keeping open dialogue, sharing and connecting with them and each other is so powerful to develop relationships. I also thank my partner Barry McDonald, who's sitting in the front here today, for his unconditional love and support, unwavering support in fact, which allows me to fully focus on being the President of the Federation, to focus on opening my heart and my mind to do this job. He's the one who soaks up my doubts and my disappointments, and also the one who shares the joys when things are going well. He's my greatest critic, especially when it comes to speeches and media. So this year you can imagine he's had lots of practice. I want to also acknowledge my Board of Trustees from Bathgate Park School in Dunedin, my senior team who are here, Katrina Robertson and Lauren Latimer. I couldn't do this work without those people and my school. I also acknowledge the Otago Primary Principals Association Executive, past, present, and the wider membership in Otago for your support, the New Zealand Principals Federation Executive, and of course the National Office staff who believe in me and give me the confidence to do this work. As you know, none of us act alone. None of us succeed alone. We constantly, all of us, draw on the experiences of others, the advice and wisdom of others, and we draw on their confidence to do our work, your work in your schools. I acknowledge all of you and all of those people who have generously given to me. I came into teaching in the 1990s, taking on my first job in the bilingual unit at Rotorua Intermediate. Like everyone who enters the profession, I wanted to make a difference for the lives of our young people, irrespective of their cultural or ethnic backgrounds, their religious beliefs, their sexual orientation, whether or not they came from advantaged or disadvantaged backgrounds. I would make a difference, whatever their special abilities or disabilities. And I would make a difference, especially for our young Māori people. Well, I wanted to make a difference for them so that they could succeed in line with their capabilities. I wanted to change that. I wanted to change everything, hence I became a teacher. I wanted schooling to be relevant and exciting for every young person, so that every young person would leave school as a success, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me. To me, a rich, broad curriculum delivered in a school where young people could feel safe to be themselves was the key. In New Zealand, we are lucky to have a great curriculum. We are the envy of the world, in fact, because we can teach within an authentic context and use multiple, flexible curriculum options for our young people. We've mastered the art of inquiry, which excites and ignites the imaginations of our young people, who quickly become the agents of their own learning. Through our model of self-managing schools, and with community input through our boards of trustees, we're able to engage our young people in ways that fit in with their values and aspirations of the communities that they live in. It's a model that over time we have built up to be one of the most successful in the world in the OECD. So, why is it that we're so stressed? Why is it that we're holding a conference here in Queenstown on Hauora? Why is it that every day I'm hearing from principals just like you that they're thinking about retiring prematurely, that they can't employ suitable teachers, or that they cannot get appropriate support for their very high-end behavioural challenged young people? Well, I'll come back to those questions later in my speech. I'd like to return now to the last time that we assembled here in Queenstown for the New Zealand Principals Federation Conference. It was the year 2010. Some of you were here. The Minister of Education at the time was the Honourable, I did this mess up this morning, we had a bit of a laugh, the Honourable Anne Tolley, apologies. The government was in the process of implementing national standards, and the mood in the room from principals was of anger and frustration. No one wanted them. No one believed in them. No one thought that they would do anything to lift the success rates of any child at all. Worse still, everyone was sceptical and fast losing trust in the minister and the ministry, and in anyone who suggested that national standards could possibly have any educational value whatsoever. No one in the government seemed to be listening. I was one of those principals, and it was the feeling of the passion in the room of the profession at that 2010 conference that fired me up. It led me to persuade my board at Macandrew Intermediate to join the board's Taking Action Coalition, otherwise known as BTAC, the governance group opposing national standards. It is what persuaded me also to stand for the election for NZPF, so that I could be part of the ongoing action opposing national standards, which I viewed as toxic. National standards would never be the mechanism by which any school could raise its academic, ethical, or quality standards of teaching and learning. They would never equate to a measure of teacher or school performance, or a means by which schools could be compared, and they would never satisfy parents that they were a definitive measure of their child's cognitive development. Yet, in no time at all, they were being used for all of these things. Only cognitive development had been reduced to reading, writing, and mathematics. Fast forward now, and you can see clearly that the broader agenda, which began with the introduction of national standards, the agenda has acquired many more parts over the past decade, including the Investing in Education Success Policy, IES, Communities of Schools, Education Act update. The update of the Education Act brings changes that threaten the very essence of what is great about self-managing schools, the relationship that our schools have with their communities. Central, of course, to all of this is still the measure that we call national standards data. 9 years of conflict has resulted in a profession that is battle-weary. We have those in our profession who now just want a quieter life and say, look, we can't change anything. Let's just accept it and move on. Stop fighting these things because we will never win. The government will never listen and nothing will change. This is a global movement and we're just one small country in it. At the other extreme are those like me who say we will continue to fight to the end. We know national standards and all the reforms that go with them are bad for young people. Our young people don't get a voice, so it's up to us to protect their futures by continuing to fight for the best education that we can give them. Amidst all of this is one thing that we had as a profession, and that was to be used to good effect, was to stay positive with our young people. Whilst we've had to implement the government's reform agenda, we do not give it credibility. And we've continued the search for better ways, innovative ways, to support the learning of our young people. NZPF and other professional groups have led the way in these endeavours. Take, for example, the Māori Achievement Collaborations, MACs, the partnership between Te Akatea, Māori Principals Association, and NZPF, which has resulted in a development of a professional learning program that's now been operating for almost 4 years. As a result, we are seeing principals change the cultures of their schools so that our young Māori people feel a sense of belonging to their school. They at last feel that their school is their place. They are engaging and the results are now showing. I thank our new Minister Kay for her support of the MACs, which have until now been funded by the Ministry. We are currently working with the Ministry and the Education Council to make sure we can secure the necessary funding to continue the MACs. We are grateful, Minister, that you recognise why the MACs are so successful and that we want to see more and more Māori learners become more engaged and achieve success. Just last Saturday, we saw the launch of the first Māori History in Schools, Te Takanga o Te Wā program, which has been championed by Pen Bird, school principal and political leader. This is an initiative that NZPF wholeheartedly supports, and I know that many of our colleagues have been promoting the teaching of colonial history in schools for years because it's a powerful means to curb racism and discrimination. And now it's here. So congratulations to Pen Bird and all those involved, including my mate down here, Hoana, for advocating for Māori history in schools. NZPF has its part to play, and principals everywhere are also playing their part by continuing to embrace new ideas and teaching practices that give more and better learning opportunities to the youngsters in your schools, so that Aotearoa can be a better place for everyone. I've seen what you're doing as I travel the country visiting your schools. I'm constantly amazed at the new ways that you're using collaboration and inquiry for learning, how you're adopting flexible learning spaces and making them exciting spaces for your young people that reflect the collective vision of your school community, making your students agents for their own learning and continuing to work hard to keep your curriculum options broad and rich, managing difficult behaviours through school-wide approaches that again encourage student agency and ownership. We've got schools operating on the principles of democracy. We have eco-schools operating on environmental principles. Our young people have been excited and stimulated every single day by what you are offering through your wonderful schools, and you all deserve the highest of accolades for your leadership, which enables these practices. Excuse me. What I also know is there is so much more that could be happening if we could reduce the stress and unnecessary workload that are not adding to the value of our young people, their learning and our country. I'm talking about paperwork that most of us find pointless. I'm talking about the compliance activities that are choking us. I'm talking about the over-assessment and collecting and recording data till we are strangled in it. I'm talking about the global education reforms that have undermined our ability and that of our communities to work together and own our own decision making so that schools and communities together can share their aspirations for a prosperous future. The global reforms are falling out of favour in many countries around the world. Asian countries especially are now realising that assessment regimes have killed questioning and creativity. They've stifled innovation and critical thinking. Education leaders in Asia now realise that the obsession that they have had with data and league tables has been a mistake and that it's been detrimental to developing future thinkers for a modern world. They are in some cases now banning testing and assessment as a result. Here in Aotearoa, we have an ageing population of school principals, many of us, and we're starting to see early retirement. Middle leaders are reluctant to stand up and set up to be young principals. Young people are avoiding teacher training in droves, and now we have teacher shortages across the country. In Auckland, we have shortages that are reaching crisis levels. We also have insufficient support to implement inclusiveness and accommodate all young people irrespective of their learning or behavioural needs. Our teachers are leaving because they're not being adequately supported, especially with our children presenting with high-end behaviour challenges and mental health issues. We do not have the expertise to call on, and our teachers are not trained as psychiatrists or psychologists. Let's wait no longer, everybody, to get our young people onto the road to success. Let's put up a big sign that says stop to national standards, to the global education reform, on the data obsession, and let's start properly supporting the teaching profession to get on to do what it knows is right and good for the young people of Aotearoa and our country's future. It's now time, Minister, to break from the practices of the past decade, which have made little difference for priority students or any other students. I challenge you, Minister, to throw out the global reform agenda, ramp up the support for the profession, and engage with us. In partnership, Minister, we can collaborate with you, share our ideas, and together find solutions that will make a positive difference to all of our young people. In partnership, we can improve principal and teacher well-being and work with you to raise the status of the profession. In partnership, we can improve learning for all of our young people. Minister, I challenge you to deliver, not for the adults of our beautiful country, but first and foremost for the young people. Nō reira te whānau, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora. Kia ora. Kia ora, everybody. Kia ora.
Ia mai te waka nei, ki te takoto rangai takatoa, tiriti te mana motu hake te tangi o te manu e, we be fine. ora, hui e kai e.
A kapiti hono, tātai hono, te hunga mate ki te hunga mate, te hunga ora ki te hunga ora, nō reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.